what we're made of. Staying good, we all good. Like the bed without the summer on. Oh yeah. It's not the way it should be. Look what's naked, we'll change the world, you'll see. Think of all people who love and feel ashamed. Look what's naked, we'll change the world, you'll see. Think of all people who love and feel ashamed.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Radio Mythoverse for December the 5th, 2020. This is an episode to kick off the holiday season, and it's also a means for us to mark the fact that the most awkward year that we can remember is finally nearing its end. Couldn't happen soon enough. There have been lots of unusual adjustments, lots of bizarre, almost otherworldly shenanigans of every description. We've gone through a lot. Lots of stuff's changed, not always for the better. But we've got a lot to look back on and a lot to look forward to, nonetheless. So at the opening, you heard two songs from the Suburban Swamp Kids. First off was Back from the Dead. That is on their Personal Growths EP. The second song was called Nude Dude, which is about exactly what the title says. And that is on their Tropical Depression EP. So the Suburban Swamp Kids are a great ska punk band from South Florida. Check them out on Spotify under Suburban Swamp Kids, or check out their Bandcamp page over at https://swampkids.bandcamp.com. I'll put a link to that page in the description below the video. So hello folks, I'm Dan. We're back streaming on YouTube and Twitch tonight. I've been away from the stream for a while because just like everyone else, I've been handling life stuff that came up, as well as handling a bunch of behind-the-scenes Mythoverse things. But I made it back tonight. It's a good time. Work is in maintenance mode for the rest of the year, so it's a bit more chill than usual, which means I have a little bit more free time, which means I can stream again, which means here we are. So between that and the current state of things in general, I feel it's a good time for me to kick back a moment, take a breath, and relax as much as possible. And I hope you all have the opportunity to do the same. So with me tonight is Brett, our head of community outreach, and Matt, our lead writer. So what's up, guys?
Well, not a whole lot, just getting Mythic 62 through fulfillment and a new job that'll hopefully give me enough money to fix up my computer to start streaming on a regular basis.
Yeah, and your mic sounds fantastic now. Thank you very much, Matt.
Okay.
So if you're watching the stream, we're cycling a new slideshow tonight. To Matt's point, I've replaced all of the photos that we typically use, which shows the fulfillment of our first campaign, and we're showing everything that we've accomplished since then. So you're seeing the print proofs for Mythic Issue 2, the Omnibus, the Mythochibis, the Patreon books, all that stuff that we've managed to get out this year. So we've actually accomplished quite a bit. We've had 2 successful campaigns, and both of them are in fulfillment right now. Matt's Mythics Issue 2 is it's all set up, and they tell me that they're gonna get to it as soon as they possibly can. Our printer is affected by COVID, just like every other business in the country is. So everyone's waiting, but it's getting done. And our second crowdfund was, of course, Hallowed Harvest. Our first Mythoverse anthology. It was a wonderful experiment, and I think we did very well. We got a lot of interest for it. A lot of these new artists had a chance to show their stuff, and that one's going out hopefully shortly after Mythics is complete. So that's all been set up as well. I got the proof. It's been approved. Looks great. So, Brett, are you here with us?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, but you were talking, and I didn't want to interrupt.
No, I just wanted to make sure you were here before I turned it over to you. So how have you been doing?
Fine. We're still in the middle of peak season at my job, but our volume's starting to drop down, so now there's no need for overtime as much. But the downside is they end up changing my shift schedule to be Tuesday through Saturday, and so now my weekends are Sunday and Monday. But it's on the upside, I've got a new power supply unit in the mail. It should be arriving in a few days.
That's excellent. So that was the major problem that you were having with your PC that was stopping you from being able to do everything that you wanted to do. Because right now you're getting by on your laptop right now, huh?
I've been buying a laptop I leased from Buddy's Electronics.
Well, I hope you get that power supply soon, and I hope it fixes your problems, because Lord knows it sucks to be down on substandard technology. So, being that Dylan won our no prize this week, I'll just go ahead and move on. So, let's see. Tonight's a special edition of Radio Mythoverse. We do have a special guest tonight. Someone who, in our corner of the indie comics world, likely needs no introduction from anyone here. But for anyone watching who might happen to need one, he is the scriptwriter for Rags, one of my favorite indie DIY comics success stories of the past several years. He is a veteran and a shitposter extraordinaire, meme lord, and grandmaster negromancer. He has turned an attempt to mock him through memery into a product on his online store, vis-a-vis Black Nito. He and his team have demonstrated a business model which went against the popular conventional wisdom of the current year, and they've built up a following that is both avid and loyal. So loyal that the team launched a successful crowdfund which blatantly promised nothing but to take your money and run away with it. In this campaign, he pioneered the world's first invisible variant comic. The campaign also featured a popular tier, the reward for which was to be blocked on Twitter, and he had a surprising number of takers for that. He's since followed up with a hugely successful campaign which actually provided a real product. He completed the initial 7-issue run on Rags in the amount of time it's taken other creators to not release one issue, including adding many additional pages to the final issue for patrons, and what was called the Rags Issue 7 Director's Cut. And he's also well into production of a preview for a brand new upcoming comic series that we will be talking about tonight, called Hot-Blooded Foreigner Sailor Rogowski. Anyway, in case it wasn't obvious from all that, tonight we have Brian Ball with us. Brian, thanks for coming on tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm unfortunately sober.
I thought you were fueling up. What happened?
Yeah. It's gonna take a minute before it kicks in.
Okay, so you didn't adequately prepare. I'm disappointed.
I'm sorry. I just started drinking. Like,
we can fix that.
Also too, I'm also drinking mead, so mead takes a little bit before it hits.
Okay, well, I hope that if it is a delayed reaction, it is at the very least a potent reaction and a satisfying one.
Oh, it will be potent. Trust me.
Great. So yeah, I've swapped over the views to cycle through some artwork that Brian would like us to have a look at while we talk with him. It includes a Niobe variant cover, which I happen to own, some sample pages from the upcoming aforementioned Hot-Blooded Foreigner Sailor Rogowski manga. And it is a manga, and it is also penciled by the self-same Luigi, so you can see just how flexible this man is. He went from Rags to what could easily pass for something straight out of Shonen Sunday. So, congrats on landing this dude. He is something else.
Yeah. 5 years working together, and just to think all it took was one person stealing. I can't really say stealing, but one person dropping the ball on a random Spider-Man project for me to land this guy.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because he was in fact the first artist that you worked with. Not even the first artist that you worked with on Rags.
No, no. I believe he had to have been number 4.
Wow, you went through that many, and
We went through that many.
it sucks that you had to go through that many because, if memory serves, you had some pretty unprofessional experiences with some of them.
Oh yeah. I could rant for days about the the back and forth that I went through
Well,
dealing with these people.
well, that's great. So let's that's a good point to segue over into getting things started here because we do have a lot of ground to cover tonight because there's so much to talk about in between Rags and Sailor and the National Waifu Association. I do want to get to that. And I want to cover all that, but first, let's just begin at the beginning. So, if you would, step us through the journey you took to go from deciding to start making funny books to today.
Okay, well, it really wasn't a decision. It was just more of we all heard the story before. Me and my best bud in the entire planet, Trent, got drunk one night, played Left 4 Dead, and he caught me using nudie mods on Left 4 Dead, and I tried to explain it away. And thank God I was drunk, because drunken Brian came up with the story. We're like, no, man, she's just looking for pants. She's a college student looking for pants. And then that turned into eventually the first Rag script.
Well, it's very funny that was how this story found its genesis, because it turned into quite a bit more than just on the superficial level a quest for pants.
Right, like over a period of time, we just started taking the more funny elements out and then swapping it in with more serious, subtle elements over time until we finally got to a place where we were all happy with, like, where it was still funny to us and we still hit that punchline at the end, but it was played so straight the entire time. So whenever somebody was trying to, trash the book or whatever, it's like, man, you gotta look below the surface. You gotta look below the surface. And if you look below the surface, you saw those elements start to pop out. You started seeing those, those little breadcrumbs appear, if you will. And they were there the entire time. But then at the end of the journey, we hit that punchline. And just ride.
Yeah.
What's that line from Three Amigos? We'll pillage the women, rape the horses,
And ride off on the men.
Right.
Precisely.
Exactly.
Yeah, so to that point, Rags is a very easy comic to misunderstand. And obviously, there's, like you said, there's that glorious punchline at the end, but all throughout the series, it's very easy to dismiss it on a superficial level, especially on this age of infinite scrolling through social media feeds. So you're trained to be forgetful, you're trained to have a short attention span. So it can be very easy to miss things that are right in front of your face or to not appreciate them until maybe you've had a chance to look at them more than once.
Exactly, and we completely banked on that. I'm pretty sure you have said yourself, like, the entire title encourages reread after reread after reread after reread, and there's a lot of foreshadowing, but it's done more military style too. Like, one of the first mentions of Regina more or less becoming the instrument of fucking people over is she mentions, like, yeah, I got fucked by the green weenie. But then later on in issue 4, you see her grab this green dildo, which is a literal green weenie.
And that issue has the single most hilarious panel. Like, I've been walking around with a stiffy all day, dude. And if that panel takes you off guard, then you better not be drinking anything. I swear to God, because you will probably die.
I still die reading that scene over and over again. But the joke, the foreshadowing there too culminates, at the end of the book where, Operator's squad shows up and she ends up murdering everybody, becoming the literal embodiment of the Green Reedy on the opposite end. So it's I just to me it's the most hilarious thing I ever wrote. To other people, most civilians, they probably didn't catch that little slide of military humor, but the other veterans in the group have, and it's just hilarious to reread over and over again and go over. Oh, also too, short funny story. You guys know Raven, my colorist, is my roommate, and as she was coloring the last part, she doesn't see any of the dialogue whatsoever.
Okay.
But she does have a pretty much guidelines to follow as when it comes to coloring things, and I gave her a very loose leash on this.
Mm-hmm.
But she's coloring the last part of the book, hasn't read any of the dialogue, and there's just this one comment Regina makes as she finishes off. Finishes off as she defeats the last person that she needs to defeat, and it's pretty much, you know what Army stands for, aren't ready to be Marines yet, and that's just kind of like an interdepartmental thing that the Army, the Marines, and the Navy have going on. We take the we take like the names of each service, and we create pretty much, I guess, acronyms off of it. So for Marines, it's like muscles are required, intelligence not essential. Spoiler, that's going to come up soon. Navy is never again volunteer yourself, and Army is, of course, aren't ready to be Marines yet. So that's kind of like the knock that the Marines get against us Army guys.
Cool. So what about the?
No one does Air Force because it's too long.
Oh, gotcha. But they're called the Chair Force, aren't they?
Right. Yeah. So they have that, and Space Force is too new, but give it time. But there's like all these underlying military jokes in this book, and most civilian readers are just gonna read it and like, okay, I guess I don't get that, but whatever. I'm not sure you read the final pages, but we also have a nod to one of the two best Delta operators known to man. And if you guys don't know who they are Sergeant First Class Sugart and Master Sergeant Gary Gordon from Black Hawk Down fame. You know, watch the movie, you've seen the scene. You know,
that's the
guys are just
the Cracker and Coon thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have read that, but like you said, you know, obviously I didn't catch the reference because, you know, I'm a civilian, but I understood that it was probably something that I could figure out if I just took a moment to Google it, but, you know, I was too lazy.
Okay, so I can actually explain like the Cracker and Coon bit, because that's probably gonna be more of an inside joke between me and Trent. Okay,
go ahead.
All right, awesome. The alcohol is kicking in. So Trent calls me a cracker and I call him a coon, and we had this idea that before we decided on like New Age Ninja Corps, we were gonna have like a raccoon with a body of a cracker as our mascot.
Okay, that's fantastic.
It was just gonna be like a cracker coon, and then later on in the work, you know, Operator and Regina, they don't like, they're just trying to like not give out their real names. So she starts calling herself Jennifer Coon, and he calls himself Michael Cracker, and they're like, we're just Cracker and Coon. It's just really kind of like really sort of edgy joke. But it's you know, it's just an inside joke between Trent and myself, acknowledging our Cracker Coon raccoon mascot that we never got drawn up.
Now speaking of this sort of thing, this is a nice place for me to shift over to what I was going to say here, is because one of the things that stood out to me about you and the team is the way that you grew your audience was probably one of the most clever and ingenious ways I've seen it. You just literally do it through cracking jokes and shit posting, and posting your badass artwork, but you also have an exceptional knack for community outreach and building community. And I was actually a first-hand recipient of this back in early 2018, because that was around the first time that I began to actually start clicking on the images of this chick in her underwear with a machine gun surrounded by zombies. Because, you know, obviously I'd seen it a couple of times. It's been retweeted because in early 2018, that was when a lot of indie creators were starting to try themselves on the crowdfunding circuit. You know, like that was right after Jawbreakers hit it big, and Archaven Comics had a successful crowdfund, and Ethan had his first successful crowdfund. So there's a lot of energy being built up there, regardless of whatever happened immediately after that. And there was a lot of bad stuff that happened after that we won't bother to talk about right now. But at the time, my little part of Twitter, I was doing a webcomic at the time, so I was sort of involved. There were a lot of really excited creators that were eager to get started in all this, and I kept seeing that picture of Regina on the cover of issue 1, the retail cover that is, getting retweeted a lot, and I thought that was a really bizarre image. It just made me stop and say, what the hell's this? And at the time I was done with zombies. I had seen enough works that featured zombies, but I'm forever after glad that I checked it out, because I got rewarded with a very memorable experience. And one of my first interactions with the team, and Brian doesn't remember this, so it may have been Shane I was talking to. I don't remember.
Oh no, Shane didn't really join the team until I want to say 2019.
Oh, so it wouldn't have been him. This was early.
Yeah, it more than likely would have been me.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because Shane joined us.
Yeah.
Shane joined us like it had to have been like late, very very late 2018, early 2019, around that time. Because I'm trying to remember because I was probably drunk while I was tweeting too.
Yeah. Well,
but when Shane joined the team, he just became instrumental.
I thought you'd just recount the event, Dan, and see if it jogs Brian's memory.
I've done it many times, and he swears he doesn't remember it, but I'll go ahead and recount it here.
Does it jog his drunk memory?
Let's see if it jogs his drunk memory. Okay, so I get a tweet, and there's an image from Rags issue 2, where you see Regina running away in her underwear, and she looks like she's very, very upset. So there's no context for the image; it's just the panel. And so I reply to this tweet saying, "Who knows? God willing, we'll meet again in Rags 2: The Search for More Pants." And I get replied to that shortly thereafter saying, "For that superlative Baseballs reference, you will get a copy of Rags issue 1 Patreon variant. Please message me with your mailing address." So I did that, and I got the Tim Lim variant in the mail shortly thereafter. And I was like, what the hell? For a funny Twitter interaction, I get a free comic. These guys have incredible community outreach mojo. So I checked it out, and of course the comic was, it blew me away. The artwork was just top notch, and I immediately connected with Regina because it was very, very clear that while the first glimpse we get of her, she's swearing her head off and throwing around like racist white slurs at all these inbred hicks, quote unquote.
She's having a temper tantrum.
She's having a temper tantrum. Yes, and the way that it's arranged, we see that first, right? So we say, who the hell's this bitch and what's her problem? But as soon as we see like what led up to that moment, it's like, oh, she's having a really shitty day. And not only that, she's terrified. She's probably starving and freezing to death, and she's got glass in her feet and from running in her bare feet all over the place, and she's been running from zombies with nothing but her bare hands, etc. Like there's this checklist that I always saw them.
Been punched and hit and just like struck in the face so many times.
Yeah, and she's trying to escape from the zombie.
She's probably got like skull fractures, man. Like got hit in the face with a baseball bat. Skull fractures. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't be the happiest of I wouldn't be the happiest of campers if I got hit in the face.
How is she still?
Yeah, and
how is she still conscious after that? How's she still conscious?
So that's kind of like one of the things we're probably gonna address way later. I'm pretty sure I've spoiled this already, but Regina has died multiple times in the book and nobody's noticed.
Yeah, well, there are clues, but you have no idea.
We are talking figurative deaths, aren't we?
No, we're talking like actual death.
Well, I don't want to say anything like right now, but there are little clues, but you don't really have context for the clues until later. So this is why I keep saying the book rewards rereads, because once you get to the latter issues and you start seeing all this being paid off, you go back and say, oh wait, over here, yeah, that makes sense now. So this is why I think I'm really excited for the collection, the one that you just showed off, the hardcover one. Because I think Rags is a series that really should be read all at once, because it really will help a lot of readers that may, have shorter attention spans, they catch all these little details if they can just immediately refer back to like a previous page to double check something. And sometimes, like if you're doing a serial story and you have these sequential issues that are split up, sometimes it's easy to forget these little details. But,
oh, for sure.
Yeah, but as a collected work, I think it's really going to shine even more than it already has, because you can look at the final parts of the story and then cross-reference earlier parts very easily.
Yeah, so let's actually talk about like this actually being like a collective work versus serialized. So the intention at the beginning was to eventually, collect everything in all at once, and we would do like just like a webcomic, just be on the web, one page a week for however long that took. And then once we got like one thing completed, we collect everything all together and just build this ever expanding graphic novel. Now that idea obviously just ended up canceling itself and being way too much work. But where was I going? God damn it, alcohol! My own worst enemy. Oh yeah, so the intention was never to actually release it like it was released. And you can see this in our page count. Most traditional comic pages are somewhere between 24 and 26 pages, give or take. Something divisible by 8 or 4. And you'll see things like, okay, issue 1 was something like 40 pages, and then issue 2 is like, 16 to 20, and then issue 3 is like 36, and like our page count's all over the place. And that's because it was never really written traditionally, like, oh, we're just gonna make issue 1, issue 2, issue 3. And we were just writing the story to fill in the arc as the chapters needed it to go, right? So the prologue is a chapter unto itself, issue 1 is a chapter unto itself, and so on and so forth. And we really, didn't intend. We weren't expecting to get as successful as we did with this. So, when we got approached to, start publishing it traditionally, we're like, okay, well, we have no idea what we're doing, but we'll give it a shot. And yeah.
Yeah, and you were approached by Antarctic Press. Now, this is a publisher that you've always been a huge fan of, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've been reading Antarctic Press since I was a kid, right? Some of my favorite books from them, outside of Ninja High School and Zetcher Man, are Assembly and this very, very little known book called Unicorn Hunters, which I've used Unicorn Hunters as a guild name when I used to play World of Warcraft. The main character, Rand, R-A-Y-N-D, I'll probably like dump this in the YouTube chat, is the spelling the name. That's the name of like one of the characters I had. And I actually have a and this actually kind of all comes back to like the Unicorn onesie too, because it's a kind of a nod towards this book, the Unicorn Hunters, from Antarctic Press, ironically. And I also have like this Viking themed it's pretty much Regina's wearing like a Viking armor, and she has like a unicorn head as like a helmet. It's kind of fun. But like everything's like unicorn themed. It's really a lot of stuff, ends up coming back to things I read in Antarctic Press and loved and enjoyed. So like them approaching me and asking like, hey, would you like to publish through us, was like a dream come true. It was almost like captain of the football team asked me out.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I actually did read Ninja High School. And I was always impressed because it was, as far as I knew, the first American manga, at least the one I came across. I mean, I don't know of any others at the time. So it was pretty neat because at the time I was a huge fan, like massive crush on Rumiko Takahashi and everything she ever did. Anyone that's read my webcomic work, it's obvious that I love her very much because I pretty much rip off her style wholesale. And a lot of my early work is the storytelling is very, very much reminiscent of that. It's all character driven, and the characters are all very, very exaggerated yet very likable at the same time.
Yeah, she's the lady that did and correct me if I'm wrong. It's called Mycenic. I always mess up the pronunciation. Mycenic Coco.
I think it's Maison Ikoku. I think it's like she mixes French and Japanese. But yeah, I love Maison Ikoku. Well, at least the manga. The anime didn't do it for me, but the manga was just fantastic.
That was actually one of my favorite books growing up. Like, here I am. So I mostly, if you guys want to know like the direction I go, like I mostly read stuff like The Guyver, Bastard, more, Berserk, more, more of the more violent, over the top manga. Like, what's another good one? Good example? Fist of North Star. There we go. Fist of North Star.
Like
where people just.
I think that has yet to be surpassed in terms of gore and violence, but I could be wrong.
It will never be surpassed.
No,
ever.
No. It's quite literally like when I saw that, when I rented that VHS when I was a kid, I had no idea what I was in for, but holy cow, people just literally exploding spontaneously and their blood and guts.
It was the greatest thing ever. It was the greatest thing ever, and I couldn't believe, like, wow, this is Japanese animation. Screw American animation. American animation's like tame.
Yeah.
I care about no rabbit and no pig. I want to see the guy get his head get pushed in the face and then explode. That's dope. Like those were the things that I mostly gravitated to. And then you have like Mice Nikoku, where it's just like this really heartwarming slice of life anime, and it's just cute.
Yeah, it was so well written. The characters were all like so fleshed out, and there's even like a lot of Easter eggs in there. Like, I'm pretty sure like that strange guy who never revealed what his job was. I'm pretty sure he was in another one of her series as a secret agent for something. I think he appeared in Lum. So, but anyway, so this is a good place to start talking about Hot-Blooded Foreigner, Sailor Rogowski, because we're talking about things like the Guyver. And that makes me think of Tokusatsu, the live-action Japanese special effects shows. And I think that was, correct me if I'm wrong, was that not a huge inspiration for the development of Sailor Rogowski?
Yes. Mostly, ironically, Sailor Moon and Super Sentai were like the more generous inspiration too, as you can see through like the images scrolling. Two of our main characters that I got. So I'll talk about Sailor and Ryukyu Mew. So Ryukyu Mew, I'll talk about her first. That character is actually based off of obviously like a Red Ranger, Power Ranger with the Green Ranger pauldrons. So you get the feeling already like this is a Super Sentai hero that is a badass, right? But also, it's also based off a drawing I did when I was in Okinawa, when I was trying to hook up with this Japanese chick that worked at a phone company. Yeah, so I have a lot of things to pull from. If I could, like, maybe I still have that drawing somewhere. I might have DM'd it to you once upon a time, but there's just like this little really crude drawing I did on the back of a Dash 10 vehicle manual. I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of cute, and I was trying to impress her with my really crappy drawing skills. And yeah, so Ryukyu Mew is kind of based off of her. And Ryukyu Mew, if you don't know, Okinawa is where this comic is taking place, is actually called locally Ryukyu. So it will refer to as the Ryukyu Islands. That's like the more traditional name for it. So Ryukyu in this instance pretty much means Okinawa, and Mew obviously cat. So you have like Okinawan cat. Them cats from Okinawa. It's kind of like an American sort of a tac nod.
Mm-hmm.
And then
well, you said it's called Ryukyu traditional. Is that the same chain of islands that Mugen's from is Samurai Champloo?
Bingo! So when Mugen from Samurai Champloo says, like, yeah, I'm from the Ryukyu Islands, he's pretty much saying, I'm from Okinawa. Which, fun fact, people from Okinawa are, how do I put this very politely? They are not treated as true Japanese people. which sucks for them. And this is just something I learned while I was living there. Because they have a more darker skin tone, they look more foreign than a mainland Japanese person who has a lighter skin tone. Well, they're still, light-skinned Japanese people living on that island. You can tell who is actually from Okinawa versus who's from mainland Japan, just kind of based off of skin tone and head size.
But they also speak another. They also speak their own language in Okinawa too.
Not really. It's all Japanese.
They don't have a local dialect that's a little different, or
Slightly, but then it's kind of like an accent, really.
It's kind of true of every region in Japan.
Yeah, like it's more of an accent than it is like its own language, if you will. But then again, I didn't really travel much of Japan that much, so I can't really fully speak on the different sorts of dialect. But you see this in I guess traditional anime, where you have someone's got like a kansai or kanto sort of voice.
Kansai is the word they often use.
Yeah, like they have like the Kansai dialect versus like the more traditional Tokyo or Hokkaido dialect. Like it's just really slight nuances. It's just slight nuances, which for our American brains just translates into like accent. So it's the difference between a Texas accent, a North Carolina accent, a Floridian accent, a California accent, so on and so forth.
Who are you?
yeah. So this actually plays into one of the overarching themes in Sailor Rogowski is the fact that she is not a Japanese person.
Nope, she's not a Japanese person, and she is really just out of place. So everything about the character is designed to be out of place. So we actually kind of took some things that. All right, so let's actually talk about Sailor for this instance. So this iteration of Regina, and everyone knows how I feel about multiverses, but in order for the story to work, I had to use the same character because it was the character was actually born off of, and you'll see it through the slideshow. It was just a variant cover that I had what's his name, Drakia Ranek do, because he did this Sailor Captain Marvel, and I thought it was hilarious. Like, oh man, I want you to Sailorize my character too. So it ended up being like a variant cover for issue 4 that we kind of still sell. And the guys in Patreon were in our Discord were like, "That's cool. That needs to be a side story or something." And it got enough traction to where I actually stepped back and like, okay, I can actually make a thing out of this if I get drunk enough, and so I did. So this iteration of Regina, her name is Regina Finnegan Rogowski, right? And this is to differentiate her for, we'll just call her main timeline Regina, who's Regina Elizabeth Rogowski. And, they both have very similar things, but they're slightly different. They're both 6'1". They both have red hair. They both have freckles, but this iteration of Regina, Sailor side, doesn't have the immense amount of freckles that make most artists, roll their eyes and groan. And make them hate me less. So she just has some light facial freckles. She's got blue eyes, and I really actually, yeah, I think I did spoil it. It's already spoiled already, but she's also ambidextrous, so she can use her right and left hand, and she's just, as a normal person, out of place. Because how many 6 foot tall females do we mostly see in our lives? Not many, right? So she's got this presence that makes her out of place. She's also a huge weeb, so
and
we all know how weebs get treated at school.
Yeah.
So she's out of place in the Marine Corps as a new boot private, recently, stationed at this island, and then also on the Japanese side, she's really into the culture, really into the cartoons, and really wants to learn. But you're not Japanese, so you're gonna run into those things, and it becomes, in reality, reality hits her in the face really, really quick once she starts, once she gains her magical girl powers and starts trying to do what she believes is the right thing.
Yeah, and yeah, I've read some early treatments. I won't say anything about them other than the fact that that theme runs heavily through it. Like she really, really wants to. She wants to like everybody. She's a very likable person, but like you said, she is in a situation where she literally is a foreigner, and it may be hard for us to comprehend over here. But in Japan, they have a very strong sense of their national identity, and you can't just
Right.
walk over to Japan and be Japanese. Like
It-
you show me an example of someone who was half Japanese. I can't remember what his name was, but you linked an article, and he was.
Oh yeah, he was like a half Japanese, half American. His story was kind of tragic, but he actually, I think he's a mayor in Okinawa. But his entire life, he used to get made fun of because like you're not really Japanese, you're just a foreigner. Oh, who's this foreigner? You're a foreigner. You're a foreigner. And the reason why part of the reason why we chose, the title, hot-blooded foreigner, is Regina in this case, she's a foreigner in a different country, right? And she's also a foreigner to the like her own people, like she's kind of weird. She's kind of like she's a nice person, but you're kind of off, you're kind of weird, you're kind of we don't really accept you, so you're kind of weird and foreign to us because you're trying to fit in with this other culture who you're also foreign to, and they don't really fully accept it. And the only person, as you'll learn, that really fully accepted her, well, one of two, was Yayoi, who's Ryukyu Mio, and that's the person who passed on her powers to Regina in this case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but one of the major obstacles she'll need to face is that she doesn't belong in many different ways, but in particular, like does she even have a right to wield her powers?
Right, like do you even belong here? You don't belong here. You shouldn't be doing any of this. Like, yeah, you've done a bunch of good work, but that should have been done by someone else. And this is kind of something I learned during my time in Okinawa. We would try to go to bars or try to go just into certain restaurants and whatnot, and we would get barred because you're not Japanese. And some of the other guys I've been with who have never been subject to racism before start going off like, man, I can't believe how racist this country is, blah blah blah. It's like, you know what? It's not actually racism. And I know it's gonna sound weird for people, but like I hate to bring race into this, but as a person of color, a black guy, right? I'm used to going into like just say the Walmart on the wrong side of town, if you will, and just having that feeling like, I absolutely don't belong here. I need to leave, right? Some people have never had that experience before, and then when it finally like hits them in the face, it's like wow, that's what that feels like. In Japan, it's not necessarily the same because if you look at Japan's history and you can kind of start empathizing with this, when foreign people have come in, people who weren't Japanese, who didn't respect the culture, you know, came to their island, they did a lot of bad things. And unfortunate, Americans still are on that island doing very stupid, very bad things because, we're Americans, we do what we want. And it's just that lack of respect for their culture. And it's not just us, it's, Russians, it's Chinese, it's Filipinos, it's, everybody. They come to that island, they don't respect the culture like they should be respecting it. And so Japan, as kind of like a reactionary sense, takes this stance of like, just they're just anti-foreign.
Yeah.
And that's really hard for American people to process because we're a giant melting pot of a country. So for us, being anti somebody that's different from me equals racism. But in Japan's case, it's really not. But it easily can be misconstrued as racism. It's really, you'd have to have like a very open mind about this and just a very deep not deep, just even like a basic understanding of like the culture and how things are done. Even when I worked there, I got told, and this is absolutely not a line from anime, but for an American, I was very Japanese, and that was very surprising to a lot of them. So once you start befriending Japanese people and accepting the culture and acting the right way for that culture, you start getting accepted more. There's a lot more places you can get into, hang out, and not a lot of people are willing to take that time to take a step back, seeing what they need to change within themselves, and then start interacting with that culture the right way. And Japan is very, very passive, very, very all about the community. There's what's that saying, that the nail that stands out that gets hammered in, if you will. So you don't need to be loud and boisterous or stand out. And Americans, by nature, we're loud, we're boisterous, we stand out. And this all reflects back at Regina being a Marine. You're loud, you're boisterous, you stand out. Being 6 foot tall,
And a
female,
redhead.
and like I was skipping the redhead part, but yes, being a 6 foot tall redhead, and I'm not sure if everybody here is understanding of Japanese culture, but having red hair in Japan, for the most part, long story short, you're kind of seen like as a demon, or like what's the word?
Oni.
Yeah, basically, you're basically a oni. There's a story about this guy. God, can't remember his name, but he took a trip to Japan, went out to the forest, and was just like taking pictures, and he ran into just this random villager who had never seen a foreigner before, lived in like just way out in the countryside by them, living off the land, sort of deal. And when he met this photographer, who was just taking pictures of the countryside, all he sees is like, oh my god, there's this 6 foot tall foreigner with red hair. And if you know Japanese folklore, oh my god, this is Oni, this is a demon. And he panicked and ran. And when the guy was chasing after, the story's actually kind of funny because the guy started chasing after him to be like, hey, calm down, I'm not, I'm not a demon. The guy just stepped running faster.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that is too funny. But yeah, I mean, to your point, Japan's been wronged a lot more than it has wronged. So you can understand why they have a very strong sense of national identity and why they seek to, why it's so important to them, because it's what's enabled them to survive throughout, like, their forced modernization after like Commodore Perry showed up and all that.
Right.
And they managed to, after all that, to catch up and even surpass the West in a lot of ways, technologically and all that stuff.
That all being said too, we don't disregard the fact, World War II and Japanese imperialism.
Of course,
blah, blah,
yeah,
blah.
all that stuff, yeah.
Oh shit. Can you give me like 2 seconds? I need to take care of something real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so like we were saying here, yeah, national identity is very important to Japan, and that plays very heavily into Sailor Rogowski. And I've had the privilege of checking out a couple of the early treatments of the script, and it's treated very, it's treated elegantly. Like it doesn't beat you over the head with it. It feels very organic, the way that the situations develop. And the people do feel real, and the interactions do feel like they're conversations actual people would have. And I think I mentioned this before when I was reading a lot of the latter issues of Rags, particularly issue 7 at the very beginning, where you see Operator and Regina just sort of bantering because they're bored. The dialogue feels very natural. It doesn't feel like someone is sitting down and saying, "What will these people say?" It actually feels like a conversation that was either participated in by the person who wrote it or was overheard. And these are what real people were saying.
That is something I struggle with all the time.
Yeah, there's good and bad ways to write dialogue, and some people just have a natural ear for it. Like Elmore Leonard, the author of Get Shorty and Be Cool, he's one of my favorite dialogue writers. Like, his dialogue does just feel like it would exist and play out just like that. And I think it just comes from literally just listening to people talk and having conversations with people and picking up on all right,
I'm back. I'm sorry, I was out of booze.
Oh, so are you feeling it yet?
Oh yeah, let's rock.
All right.
Lots to talk about.
Fantastic.
Shit.
So, yeah, I was just talking about while you were away. I was talking about I was looking through some of the early script treatments for Sailor Rogowski and comparing it to some of the latter scripts for Rags, particularly issue 7 at the very beginning, where Operator and Regina are bored and they're passing the time and they're just bantering back and forth. I was remarking that the dialogue feels like natural and organic. Like this is actually how people would be talking. It's not someone sitting down and saying, "What does this person say now?" But it's like a conversation that you either actually participated in or overheard, and these were things that actual people actually said. And that's definitely a learned skill, and it comes from just listening to people talk, in my opinion.
Yeah, that banter back and forth, that was, all me. But there's actually one thing I can actually speak to that wasn't. Way back in issue 1, where Regina and Sean are having like this argument, like the argument in the car, and then Regina actually taking off her clothes and throwing it. That was actually something I experienced when I was in Germany.
But you actually had someone strip in front of you because she was mad at you?
Oh no, it wasn't me. It was so I was in the car with like my two friends, and where were we driving? We were driving to some bar in Stuttgart. Like we're leaving Mannheim, going to Stuttgart to go get drunk and hang out and do whatever. And during the middle of this ride, they just got in this really heated argument, and I'm sitting in the back seat like, okay, this is awkward. And then eventually we pulled off to the side of the gas station because what did she do? Like she grabbed a steering wheel and kind of just jerked it a little bit so we could we almost like ran into somebody. And so he pulls into like the next stop, and then they're sitting in his gas station and start arguing, and it gets really heated. And I'm just sitting in the back seat like, okay, I guess we're not getting drunk tonight. This'll pass. And then all of a sudden, he just makes this comment like, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have shit. You wouldn't have the clothes on your fucking back because I joined the army, and then you fucking just tagged along and blah blah, and just like laid into her, and she's like, fine, fuck you, and just started taking everything off and just throwing it on the ground and just storming off like, oh shit. So that was just like a thing that I've seen and experienced, and it's like, oh, that'd be kind of interesting to just recreate, if you will.
Yes, that's almost like too strange to be able to make up, like you would...
It really was.
Was that entire scene in Regs pretty much line for line accurate?
No, it wasn't like line for line. There had to been like 7 to 10 year gap. So I kind of just pulled what I remembered from that whole incident and try to piecemeal that together. And obviously changed some things just to make things work for the book, but yeah. And then most of Operator and Regina's banter comes from just me and Trent talking shit to each other.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it comes from actual dialogue. People, like, you're not trying to construct that dialogue. It's just something that happened.
Right. Like these characters aren't and don't take this wrong. Like they're not the smartest like peas in the pod, right? It's not like a Reed Richards. It's not like a Tony Stark. They're not like a Peter Parker. So they're not like spouting out really crazy scientific facts for people to like, oh man, that sounds genius. Like, no, these are just two people, normal, average, day-to-day people who just like to talk shit. And, they start talking shit to each other, and it builds this little camaraderie, and no one talks shit to me better than Trent. And no one talks shit to Trent better than me. And so we just kind of take that and roll with it.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and I believe, if you recall, I did link you a video a couple months ago, in which a man and a woman were having an argument, like this really big dude and this tiny woman, and he starts stepping to her, and then she steps right back at him, and then she just starts stripping off her clothes, and she ends up chasing him around his van.
Oh yeah,
he's like, "Get away from me!" Like, what do you do in that situation? So I said, apparently you're a prophet, because that literally played out in real life somewhere.
I've actually called certain things that's been right way beyond my like certain chicken bucks. Like I've called those things. Like yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And,
hence the whole comment about you getting 7 issues out in the amount of time others have yet to get out 1.
yep.
But
And I stick to this day. As long as you get your stuff out before that thing officially ships, you're actually never late.
you're actually never late.
Never late.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's that is I'm so excited for this book. I'm just watching this this artwork scroll by, and Luigi has absolutely nailed the manga aesthetic.
Oh, you have no. We had to actually dial this in a little bit because he got so used to drawing and this is my fault, realistic faces for some time
Mm-hmm.
that we had to like, just dial in the manga aesthetic a little bit. It obviously it didn't take him too long. He just once he found like that groove that was comfortable for him, he just ran with it. So for Rags, he had to constantly draw Liz Finnegan's face over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, he doesn't have to draw that. It's a lot more loose. It's a lot more. It's faster, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot. It's actually just to give you guys just a comparison. Rags was very deliberate with how things had to look. So it was very tight, very like he had to draw certain things a certain way, otherwise it get kicked back. Here, he's just free to draw whatever he wants to draw. And you can tell by the pages he's having so much fun with that. It's
I believe the phrase you used was, "This is Luigi flexing."
Yeah, this is just him flexing the dick.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
I got a question for the crowd. If this, in regards to the manga aesthetic, is this a total commitment to the bit, as in it's got to be read left to right? I mean, right to left?
Yes.
I guess I'll chime in since I've been
Yes.
for most of this
Yes.
hour.
Completely committing to the bit.
I think it could go either way, honestly. I mean, I've read manga in both styles, so honestly, to me, I've read enough that it just doesn't bother me anymore when I find a different style. It just takes me, that like 10 seconds to figure out, is this left to right or right to left,
Actually, I'm lying. It's actually Western style.
I was about to say, because you'd have to have a little chibi Regina saying, "Confuse the enemy. Start the book in the back."
Oh my god, that's genius!
Oh my
That's fucking genius! Oh my god, I'm writing that down.
Now Brian's gonna have to completely redo it from the ground up.
Nope. I don't have to do jack.
Just gotta
Oh,
flip
yeah,
the artwork, man.
Yep, like I've gotten competent enough in Photoshop to where that's an easy fix. That's an absolute easy fix. That's like all of 10 minutes of work.
Awesome. So speaking of, you mentioned,
Come on me, bro.
You mentioned that Rags was a lot tighter. There's obviously a lot of reasons for that, because you're telling a very specific story about a woman with PTSD and the effects, and of course there were lots of zombies and titties in it, but there was a lot of we had a conversation about some of the fight scenes. Like some of the fight scenes in Rags are some of the most brutally realistic you're likely to see in indie comics. It's definitely not something you'd see in a Kate book. I mean, this is ugly, visceral, like knockdown, drag out, grappling, eye gouging out violence, and you can tell that a lot of care went into the choreography, especially when Regina is doing things like trying to wrestle a weapon away from somebody, or getting someone in a hold, or being put in a hold herself. So for those scenes, obviously you did a lot of micromanaging there.
Oh, there's so much micromanaging, so many references. I sent Luigi so many pictures, so many videos. I actually have like the Marine Corps martial arts program manual like downloaded and started sharing that. Like, look, I gotta go. This has to happen like this. The I like to call this her signature move, where she takes control of the muzzle of the weapon, dumps the mag, forces a discharge, and then yanks the weapon out of the opponent, the assaulter's hands, if you will. Like that's a technique I learned when I was training with first of the First Special Forces right across the street in Okinawa, Torii Station. That's a move I learned there way back in the day. So like these are actual like military moves
Mm-hmm.
that have like specific steps. You see a lot starts with like a palm face jab or something to where like, hey, distract the opponent from paying attention to the weapon, and then take positive control of the weapon, because every fight hand to hand, whether you're Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine, if you're in hand to hand combat, 100 times out of 100 times, that hand to hand combat is over positive control of a weapon. So the person who has positive control of the weapon is the one who wins the fight and lives to fight another day. So with that in mind, also too, there's kind of this other thing in play where Regina, sure, she's 6'1", sure, she's a former Marine, but unfortunately, more often than not, this is not always 100% true, but women are not strong or as strong as men. So for Regina to be successful in combat or any fight, she has to win it in the shortest amount of time possible. Because as a woman, she's not going to win a battle of strength. It's more of a battle of speed and technique. So with that in mind, I had to walk Luigi through how a 6'1" female with Marine Corps training would actually, go through that.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, I think
there's many hours just like, hey man, we just got to do this. This is like the right movement. Like if she's punching from the right side, this is how the impact has got to look. I was micromanaging that to the point where I actually thought he was getting pissed at me.
Yeah.
But now he's like, no, man, I just draw what you tell me. I just wanted to look right. Like, oh, okay, cool. And now in comparison, as you look at the Sailor Rogowski pages, he's free to draw whatever he wants. He's having a lot of good time. And then sometimes he'll ask me like, hey, is this too much? Is this okay? I'm like, nah, man, it's fine. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, there's no left and right limits here. It's magical girls. It's magic. Like, use your imagination. You can't go wrong. Though there's like one thing that he does that sort of bothers me, but I think it's just like his signature thing. Like you'll see like the pinky extended whenever he draws somebody like wielding like a sword or a gun or something. And I always just it always just like weird to me. Like, why are you gonna have your pinky extended instead of having your whole hand on this weapon? But then I just chop it up. Like, you know what? He's having a good time.
It's fancy.
Yeah, it's fancy. It's cool looking. Like,
because they're magical
whatever.
girls, that's how they drink their tea. That's how they swing their weapon. It's
right.
fine.
So, like, if he did that in Rags, I would just like beat him up for it. Like, no, you gotta fix that. Here, it's like, oh man, it's weird, but whatever. Like, have fun with it, man. I don't care.
Now, speaking of fingers, how long did it? when he began to turn in his original artwork, how was he with trigger discipline until you intervened?
That it took a few weeks. A whole lot of kickback. I was just like kicking, like, no, you gotta. So when I kick stuff back when he turns stuff in and I have to kick it back, I usually send a reference so he knows what I'm actually looking for. And then eventually, I want to say from the prologue through issue 1 and mid issue 2, from issue 3 forward, I didn't really need to bring it up anymore. Like, about mid issue 2, he knew exactly what I wanted. And whenever I was talking about like, oh, hey, there's weapons involved in the script, so this is how it's gonna look. He's like, okay, he actually knew what I was looking for. And that was really important to show. Like the trigger discipline, it's kind of like how we did our lettering too. It tells a story of its own, where you know that, hey, these guys who are military trained, they have this trigger discipline. They talk in a certain font, and then you have the civilians who, they got their fingers on the trigger, they do whatever the hell they want, and they just talk in all caps. So it's just another layer to show, like, hey, subtly, this person is different from everybody else. And then once he caught on to that, it was like, oh, just like clockwork, like he already knew.
Yeah, there was one particular panel in Rags issue 7 where you have Regina and Randy side by side, and obviously, did you have to instruct Luigi to put her finger on the trigger? Like,
yeah, actually,
I was
because he initially drew it without it. Like, no, you gotta make sure like her fingers on the trigger. Like, bad, very bad. Like, yeah, that bad thing. It kind of confused him for a second, but then he got out. I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
been telling me for 2 years that
You've been yelling at me for 2 years, you asshole. Like, I'm sorry.
make up your mind. Anyway, so
well, you got to remember too. Like, we actually kind of work very very slow. To make sure everything looks right. There's a lot of stuff that gets kicked back, and I've probably looking back, I've missed a bunch of stuff, but that was all in the name of speed. But like, we just had to have like, we just need to have like this certain look to kind of again, we're playing the joke straight, right? So you got to play the long game with this, and so you have to make sure like everything looks uniform across the board, so when we finally do our joke at the end, it's like, oh god, you assholes, I can't believe you pulled that off.
Yeah, and the jokes do come fast and furious in issue 7. And if anyone hasn't read it, I really would love to talk about some of them, but you really have to be taken by surprise to get the full effect. So
to fully appreciate them, yeah.
Yeah, but there was that one where Operator is talking to his colleagues there, and it was so hilarious that I think I singled it out as one of my favorite panels in indie comics of that year because of the fact that his expression, it's like a sucker punch.
Right?
It really is.
I know the thing you're talking about, because I showed that to Liz and she died laughing. She literally died. Like she's read the scripts, obviously.
Yeah.
But they're just seeing like that expression, and then the actual dialogue paired up with it.
Yeah,
like,
so
perfect.
I won't say anymore.
And again, with Raven too, like she's just coloring the page like, oh, this looks like, oh man, he's probably saying something intense. And then I show her the page that she just colored with the dialogue, and she's like, you asshole! I can't believe that's like.
Yeah.
So, again, it's everything's just played like so straight. Which I hope when people finally give us a chance to read and they actually go back and read the whole thing from start to finish, you realize like this was just one really long joke played out.
Yeah.
Just for one stupid punchline at the end.
But it is definitely that, but the journey is well worth it, and there's a lot going on, a lot to appreciate.
Yeah. I'm actually sad I didn't get to do my Hobbit joke.
Well, you reference it. I
reference it. I reference it, but like, oh man, I totally wish I got to do it. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I actually point that out. Like after a horrible Hobbit joke that we don't get to see, it's like I sort of like upset about that. But anyway, so you mentioned obviously there's a lot of work involved here, and that was one more thing I wanted to talk about before we go over to the National Waifu Association real quick.
Oh,
is that when people achieve your level of success, like you have a very large Patreon community, you could have actually contemplated doing it full time at some point, because you've done all the work to grow that community, and you've gotten on Antarctic Press, you've had a successful crowdfunds. But one comment kind of struck me when you were doing your Take Your Money and Run campaign, which was absolutely hilarious. I remember one person on Twitter said, "Wow, I wish I could make over $1,000 for doing nothing." And I said, well, he didn't make it for doing nothing. He made it for all the work he put in before he launched that ridiculous campaign, because he built up this community of people that enjoy his work and want to see him succeed and support him, and that took years. So when people see like the end product of like years and years of work and like tens of thousands of dollars of investment and thousands of hours put into it, they assume like that happened overnight, when it really takes quite a bit of time and a lot of sacrifice and a lot of failure to get there.
Oh man, there's like so much failure. We're talking like, okay, Rags, just like the initial scripting of Rags, that all started back in 2015, right?
Right.
And I think we talked about this earlier. Like I went through like 4 or 5 different artists at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had the guy who was doing it was like a Spider-Man I had like this idea for like this Spider-Man comic I wanted to just kind of do just out of boredom, and that guy disappeared, and that's how I ended up getting Luigi. I had another artist. I have like a few artists where like, okay, they did like a page. I paid them ahead of time, and then they vanished. I've dumped at least $10,000 of my own money, and seen artists come, go, vanish, and Luigi's been the only one that's delivered and stayed. Even when he had like other projects in the queue, where it's like, hey man, I got you. I got like 5 or 6 other projects in the queue, so I won't have like your page done for like another 4 weeks. Like people don't see that level of frustration like on my end, and then finally getting Luigi commit 110% to me. They don't see the work that went on my side that went into that. So it wasn't like I just got $1,000 for free or for nothing. Like there was 6 years worth of just blood, sweat, tears, creating, building a product, and then building that the confidence, the reliability, and that trust, to be able to achieve that. And for the record, that campaign was made, and at no point did I ever expect it to actually fulfill. It was just made just as one bored shit post for me. And the fact that it actually did fulfill was like hilarious.
Well, I think I remember I joked that you should make one of the stretch goals that you donate all the funds to charity.
I did, and then we actually didn't meet the stretch goal, which is sad. Actually, before we move ahead, there's actually one thing I want to talk about. Before we start talking about National Waifu Association, we want to talk about like some of the characters that I got for this manga. So you'll start seeing my versions of other indie artists characters in this like through the slideshow. One of the ones you'll see is like you'll see Natsumi from Sporkman, you'll see Niobe from Niobe Comics. Real man, Larry Patrick Hill is a great dude. Like can't say enough about that guy. That guy's awesome, is amazing. His ability to grab like cover artists is just sick. There's also who else? Kira from Saving the World. If you haven't read Saving the World, she's part of it. And most importantly, at least for this stream, Adobe Kroger has a cameo as a main cast member too.
Yes, if memory serves, she is a very shy local Senshin player, and in her magical girl form, she is a drunken mystical monk who plays the Sanshin to support her teammates.
And the more drunk she gets, the more powerful she gets.
Well, you see, that's the thing. I mean, that's perfectly fitting because Adobe does drink to excess, and she does very, very poorly play the banjo. So the fact that she plays a Sanshin is just right. And I love I love her drunken monk motif with her little gourd there. And if you look at her Sanshin, the headstock is I deliberately asked Brian to mimic the headstock from one of the musicians from the band The Who, the Mongolian band that recently did a cover of Sad But True, which is fantastic, and you have to listen to it.
Oh my god, what?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, like I gotta listen to that.
They're a Mongol. They are. I am not making this up, Brian. A Mongolian throat metal band.
I know they're a Mongolian throat metal band. I didn't know they did the cover of that song that I'm about to look up.
Yeah, go ahead and check it out. See if you can find
that Metallica song.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, like
song.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of The Who, and so I said if she's gonna have an instrument, then her headstock has to have the horse on it, and Brian said, "Cool."
Pronounce the because if you keep saying Who, if you keep saying Who, Dan, I'm half gonna start thinking of Pete Townsend.
Well, yeah, I think that's kind of the point, but.
So one thing, and this is gonna come back very, very much later. The main reasons why I chose these it was like very specific indie creators I reached out to grab, like, hey, you guys mind if I actually borrow your character? and it was very specific people I actually reached out to, and that was for a number of reasons. One, these were creators who were reliable, if anything. Two, these were creators who actually were able to publish their work, and if let's say if someone wants to go look up, hey, who's this Natsumi person? Where do they reference from? Oh, Sporkman. You can actually go find a Sporkman book, pick that up, read it, and whatnot. You Google Adobe Kroger, like, okay, who's this Adobe based off? Adobe Kroger. Let me go Google that. And you have Adobe Kroger Knight Errant, which is like the audiobook off of Amazon, if you will.
Yes.
So every creator I reached out to, and at least to me, was a creator that actually had a character in a published work. So it wasn't just like I was reaching out to random people just to grab random indie creators. I wanted to grab indie creators who were reliable and had characters who were established and had a lore that I could reference. And hopefully, once this gets done, we can actually start directing people back towards these other characters, or these other books and these other works. So, like, that was kind of like my idea behind it.
Now you see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this kind of thing is why I think I was drawn to Rags as a project and these guys as a team, because my earliest impressions of them were that they do their damnedest to uplift other artists in the community. Like, I think one of the earliest examples was someone I'm really sad to have not been able to see for quite some time, was that comic book girl where she did that. Like, I really miss her. She's so good. And
so good.
She did this fantastic variant cover. Well, at the time it was a pinup for you, and it was Regina with her minigun, and she's being swarmed by all the zombies. And then when you told her that was going to be a cover, she was over the moon. Like, she could not believe it. She was like, "My work is going to be on the cover of a comic." Like, you just totally made her day.
So here's let me actually pull that up really quick. Because I really want everybody to see this. And this was kind of like one of the things that I was we can pull that up, right? So I'm going to share.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, sorry. Boom. Right. We got my screen, right?
Yeah, there's the work right there.
Right. So I asked for this like as a pinup. And she charged me a fairly decent amount. And after seeing this, it was like, man, that would make a really dope cover, because I was actually going to use that for like t-shirts and for some other stuff. And I'm just looking at this like, man, that would be a really dope fucking cover. I'm going to use it. And I actually had to fight with Antarctic Press. I had to fight with them. Like, look, this is going to be like our variant cover, and they said like, no, we're not. That's not going to happen. Like, okay, well then you guys don't get shit else, because this is the variant cover that we're throwing up. 'Cause look at this art. This art is good. It's that mix of God, name is Adam Warren. Like, if you look at it, it has like this Adam Warren sort of feel to it. As well as, if you start looking at the gravestones, the gravestones start there's at least one gravestone that looks like a chess piece, and it's just so great, so beautiful, such a beautiful piece. And
just look at that depth of field too. Like, you see how the background fades, just like it would when you get into the atmospheric effects in the background there. And it's just such a superlative piece. And when you told her that this was going to be a cover, I mean, you can tell that she was not expecting that, and she was literally over the moon.
Oh, she was way over the moon. It was like, I'm actually going to be on a comic book cover? Like, yeah, like, this deserves to be a cover. And this is like one of the very rare instances, because I'm super picky about my art. But like, this one of the very few instances, like, man, this needs to be a effing cover. Like, hands down, it just needs to be a cover. So I fought really, really hard. And our MO from the beginning had always been like, hey, if we could find artists from the Twitter community that wanted to work with us and that were at least at a minimum at this level and above as far as work is concerned and technique, we were going to use them as, pinup artists and covers and whatnot, and we're all about making sure that as a team, as an independent comic creation, we weren't going and getting like J. Scott Campbell covers. Like, no, we were getting like people from the community who could. Not saying that Jason Scott Campbell can't draw, but like we were getting people who there was talent out there that people never heard of, and we were hoping to share their art and get their art out there. And yeah, because I know it's just like, as an artist, there's nothing more crazy or happy than hey, my art's out there, it's on the cover of a thing, and people can go out there and buy it, blah blah blah, and I'm out of booze, so I need to go refill like one more time. I'm sorry.
Go for it, man. So yeah, like I said, it really makes me sad that she is no longer on Twitter or anywhere else that I know of, because I had reached out to her for a commission after I saw this, and she unfortunately never had a chance to finish it, which made me sad, but I said, don't worry about it, it's cool. Yeah, I would have loved that comic book girl pinup. And just look at this. That's fucking brilliant. I mean, it looks like, it's more of a conceptualization than anything else. Like, it's not a literal representation of, something that happened in the story itself. It's just sort of, here's the concept, and here's what you can expect on the inside, zombie, hot chick in unicorn onesie with weapons fighting them off. Although she doesn't actually get the unicorn onesie until issue 7. But, yeah, it's been teased for a very long time, but it's pretty satisfying when she finally gets it. Anyway, so this was back in 2018, I think, when we got this.
I'm back.
Yeah, so this was back in 2018, I think, and this was that period I was mentioning earlier, when there was like the energy was building up, and little like people like, I think this is when Meeting of the Mind started to stream, and Dollar Bin Reviews was still doing his thing, and I really missed that guy too. And,
oh man, I do miss Dollar.
Yeah, but he's got to do what he's got to do, and I hope he's okay. If you're watching this, Dollar, I miss you. So let me know you're all right. But anyway, so moving on, let's talk about the National Waifu Association.
Oh yeah, National Waifu Association. So, oh god, stupid.
Yeah, let me go ahead and see if I can find.
There we go.
Got it?
It should be going.
All right, hold on. There we go.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So So National Waifu Association. I'm going to break some hearts. National Waifu Association is not mine. It's Tim Lim's. Right. I was able to get on it because I met certain criteria, certain milestones, certain things. So it's not
It's
something
exclusive.
that it's kind of exclusive. It's not something like everybody get into, which is kind of unfortunate. And I know I got asked a few nights ago, like, hey, can I get that template? I'm like, it's not mine to hand out. And I was really trying to be super polite about this, but I guess I could be a little bit more of an asshole here. Basically, if you don't if you want to get a part of this, you got to ask Tim, right? That's hands down, like, number one thing. 2, you have to have a comic published. That's going to be like the main thing. So if you can get a comic published and prove that you can do it consistently, and Tim approves of you, I mean, that's how you get in on that.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I may do more of these National Waifu Association patches for Sailor Rogowski once I figure out like a really great template. So I will most definitely not try and you can't just come through me and try to circumvent the process. by any means. Like it has to get approved by Tim. Like that's if he tells you no or doesn't respond to you, I mean that's I can't do anything about that. So one, don't go running to Tim trying to like get in on this. Like you guys got to do the work, right? It's just not it's not it's not a box of Twinkies he's just gonna hand out for every swinging deck. Like you got to be you got to be able to do the work and prove that he can make a comic and get it published and blah 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 blah. And then he's got some other stuff which I'm not at liberty to talk about. But if you meet the criteria and he approves of it, yeah, like there you go. You can get on it, but it's a very, very exclusive club.
And it's definitely set a high bar. I mean, there's very few creators that are as consistently productive as Tim and Mark recently.
Yeah,
like they've really stepped up their game.
Not gonna lie, I get depressed watching them being successful. Like not because I'm. Alright, so I am jealous of their success. I really am. I totally am. But you look at the work that they put in, it's like, God damn, you guys are fucking good.
Yeah.
I want to be that good, and I just know that I will never measure up to those guys. And they're going to be... this is my manga scene. Sasuke, I will always be chasing you after your back. But maybe one day...
Well,
the back you'll be watching will be mine. Like,
well,
one day, I swear to God, which is actually kind of cool. Like, if you actually kind of know my and Tim's history, Tim was doing cover art for what was that comic, Patriotica, and I'm not sure if everybody remembers where he kind of basically got blacklisted by that guy because he drew cover art for this other person who I'm just not going to talk about here because I don't really like that guy either. But neither here nor there. Like you drew a cover for a guy, it really shouldn't matter. Like work is work, money is money. So there's this period where Tim was just getting blacklisted, and I was like, dude, if your art's amazing, if I might not be able to pay you a whole lot, but I'll definitely work with you, and we can work something out, and I'll throw you money to draw for me. And so that's kind of how Tim and my relationship started. And look at him now. He's surpassed me in every single way. And I'm kind of not... I'm mad. But not in like, oh, fuck Tim sort of mad. Just but like, man, like, God dang.
Well, the way I see
Slow down, guy. Let me catch up, for the love of God.
The way
it's the good kind of anger that motivates you to improve.
it's like if we're gonna extend the Naruto metaphor, you're just Rock Lee that motherfucker. If you fail to do 500 push-ups, then just do 600 leg lifts or whatever the fuck it is.
Right?
Just keep pushing yourself.
But he's a genius, and I'm Konohamaru. I can't do shit. Like, man, like, what the... Actually, it's more like... It's more like Tim Sasuke, and I'm like Iruka, the fucking teacher at the academy. It's like watching everybody else become like these legendary fucking shinobi, and here am I just teaching people the fucking basics. God damn. No, but like that all being said, like I'm so proud of Tim and Mark.
It could be worse.
Like that's like Tim and Mark. That's a team. That's absolutely a team, and that's one of the key reasons for their success is like they're a team. They work together, and they can just write and draw and do whatever the hell they want and take off with it.
Yeah,
and it's great.
It is inspiring. Like, don't be intimidated by it. Be inspired by it. You might not reach their level, but at least you'll land on a ledge that's touched by the same sun, if you will.
Man, I'm gonna surpass them one day. Just watch. Just watch. I'm gonna get one thing. Just one thing. I'm gonna do better than Tim. I swear to God. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. Are you sure you're Sasuke and not Vegeta in this scenario?
I want to go Super Saiyan. I just want to go Super Saiyan. I want.
You're gonna get so mad that you can't hit level 4. You'll go straight to level 5.
Brian confirmed it. Tim is Goku and he is Vegeta.
Ugh.
Every single one of them kicked you in the dick.
Right? Right? Absolutely right. But hopefully this new IP is the ammo I need to finally surpass Goku. My pride is the principle of science.
And now we're gonna have to go fight.
Go ahead, Matt. Or don't. Okay.
Listen, Neville, I think that
Well, actually, what I said was, we're gonna have to do to Brian the whole Vegeta no, Vegeta yes.
Well, there's already a Dylan no and a Dylan yes. I mean, well, hey.
Right? Good times.
So that's really exciting, and I think this IP, like I was telling Brian earlier, Rags is definitely a book that requires that you pay attention, and it requires rereads. I believe to really appreciate all the work that went into it and to catch all the stuff that went into it. And it's a very powerful book, but I think this IP will have much broader appeal because of its very nature.
Yeah, it's a lot more loose. It's a lot more user friendly, if you will.
Right, like the barrier to entry is going to be minimal. Not that there's that much of a one in Rags, but in this IP, just by looking at these pages, like I can tell this first like this is going to be a 17-page preview.
Correct.
Yeah, so already just in these pages, you're getting some dynamite panels. Like this is Luigi absolutely flexing here, but just look at some of these shots where what's the name of the was it Riku Mew? Is that her name?
Ryukyu Mew, and the monster is called
Gamera.
Oh god.
It's Gamera.
Gotta breathe. All right. Okay. So this is it's a spoiler, but like I'm okay with spoiling this. Our monsters, right? All the bad people, like our 4 main bads, are Corona-chan, Ebola-chan.
Are you telling me that there are 4 chans?
4 chans, yeah.
That's the main bad.
I love it.
That's the 4 main bats, right?
The 4 chans.
The 4 chans.
Oh god, that's so great. And when they die, they divide into the 8 chans.
No, absolutely not. But they're the 4, I guess, sub bosses before you get to the 4 chans are.
I'm still laughing at that. Sorry.
Oh god, just wait for this, right? So we have like 4 sub bosses, right? It's Gloctopus, which is a giant octopus with 8 guns. A Glockatiel, which is a bird carrying a gun, giant gun. A Glock Ness monster, which is a water-based snake monster that has a gun. And a giant robot that is called Glocktimus Prime.
By any chance, does the Glock Ness monster's gun have a caliber of Tree 57?
Only goes up to 9 mil.
Oh, okay. All right.
Only goes up to 9 mil.
All right.
And
he needs Tree 57.
this monster,
Exactly.
right, so this monster that you see fighting Ryukyu Mew and completely devastating her in this moment in time, which I'll just go ahead and say, like, this fight doesn't really do Ryukyu Mew justice because she is the number 2 most powerful magical girl on the planet at this point in time. So for this monster to monkey stomp her like he is, it's a thing. Anyway, that monster's name is, well, if you look at the monster, you can see he's based off of the Japanese Kappa monster, right?
Mhm.
And in that regard, we named that monster Busta Kappa.
Good. Good.
Oh my god.
Brian, I
You know-
I
you
have
know
a
what?
serious question. Hate to cut in here, Dan, but I have a serious question.
Please do.
Lesbians, all right.
Does Ebola-chan know the way?
Does what?
Does Ebola-chan know the way?
Jesus.
No. Ebola does
Jesus
not know the way.
Christ.
I'm a need about tree.
Yeah.
Anyway.
God damn it.
Yeah. Old meme, man. Old meme. We're on to new memes.
I had to. I couldn't not.
I know. And I forgive
I
you.
thought I was autistic.
This is why I drink. This is why I drink.
Artistic. Oh, I drink because, life sucks. But it's neither here nor there.
Sarah, you drink because you're a sailor. That's just what you guys do.
No, I'm Army. I don't know. Fucking
No,
sailor.
I'm Sailor. He.
Hey, what's up, Squid?
Oh, shut up.
Holy
God
shit.
fucking damn it.
Yeah. All right.
All right, so
Talking about our sailor characters here. There's another character here. I kind of missed the opportunity to talk about, but I'm gonna kind of segue and talk about her. And you'll see Sportsman's character Natsumi, and in this universe we call her Natsumi the Breaker, and this is due to her stopping an entire alien invasion by herself. She beat the aliens so bad that they just ended up crying. She absolutely broke their spirit. Like, she's that powerful. You'll see through the slideshow that she's got like 3 different forms. Her first form is just her normal in her Japanese self-defense outfit with a kind of a spear, and then her second form is like a more skimpier outfit, and then like a third form is like this giant mechanized spork Megazord sort of thing.
Mhm.
In universe canon, no one has ever seen her past her first form, ever. So when we actually get to the third form, you guys will absolutely know, and this will probably be like, honestly, 5 or 6 years from now when this finally pays off. Well, that's the type of writer I am. I like to play the long game and play off the jokes after a long, lengthy setup. But you'll see like the spork machine with the shield and looking all badass and shit. When she has to finally summon that thing, you guys will know shit is absolutely hitting the fan, and she cannot absolutely stop it. Natsumi is the most powerful entity in this universe at this point, and I did a lot of begging to Sporkman to let me borrow the character and let me tweak her this way, and I think you guys will actually enjoy her. Well, maybe not at first. You're probably gonna think she's a bitch, but when we finally like start getting into like the end game of everything, you'll absolutely enjoy her character, and hopefully this all come together in one big nasty tiger uppercut.
My god, I hated that.
Okay.
Move. No
Hey,
matter
just
how
for
many
just put it-
times I got
mute-
hit by that
mute.
stupid attack, I would always just keep jumping into it because I was an idiot.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway.
Also,
Neil
too,
started-
fun fact: you can add tiger uppercut to any song.
Really?
Yep, any
Big
song.
song. Neo Star kind of made a little. Speaking of song, Neo Star kind of made a little theme song for Buster Kappa, and now I'm thinking you got to write him a rap song.
Hey, look out on the street. You don't see the man that's Busta Kappa. Tiger
Oh,
uppercut.
God.
What? Yeah, that. Negromancer.
Oh yeah.
Give him a-
Speaking
give
of
it-
playing long games.
Listen, give him.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Give
playing.
him a rap song.
No, it's not a character that's going to be reappearing.
Well, anyway, like I was saying, speaking of long games, I'm beginning to think the entire purpose of Rags was to deliver that one line.
It really was, honestly. It really was. It seriously was.
Yeah, and you know what? People like us that have followed you on social media for a couple of years, and we've seen you drop that phrase over and over again. When we finally saw it in the comic, it was like the greatest thing ever. However, But I mentioned to Brian, like new readers won't appreciate it nearly as much as we did because they haven't had the benefit of seeing you guys throw it around for several years on social media. But it's still a great moment. But it's one of those
It's like
jokes
one of
that the
my
right
favorite
people,
moments.
the right people will really appreciate it, and everyone else will just be like, "Huh? What? What's he talking about?" But it's
Right?
great.
Like,
It's a great moment.
it's the most awesomest of moments. If people don't know, like I'm all about like Easter eggs, stupid jokes, side jokes, and whatnot. So I don't know how many people are on Patreon, but I don't really care about spoiling this last part because it's already gone. Where does it start at? Yeah, 55. Boom. All right. So you start seeing here, we start having some really fun. Oh no, not here. Do that. Get rid of there. Boop. Share that screen really quick. Ba-doop. We have a lot of fun with Easter eggs, if you will. You'll see this in a second. All right, there we go. All right, so we have some Patreon cameos. We have All Might from My Hero Academia. This is female female Pennywise from It. Beetlejuice makes an appearance. Sailor Moon obviously makes an appearance. I wonder who this is.
Oh, you mean Molly Beans?
Yeah, Molly Beans makes an appearance. Right?
Yeah, and I was begging Brian to make it quick, and as you can see, she only gets punched. And
Right.
Brian told me he didn't have the heart to kill her. I was like,
I really didn't.
"Oh, you're such a sweet guy."
I was trying to actually have Molly Beans as a background character for like another page, but we just didn't have the deadlines. But we have like this whole Sailor Moon theme.
Is that Yamcha dying again?
Yep, that's
Oh,
Yamcha
God.
dying. Right?
But my only regret is that he's not in a crater.
Like I said, it was just like time.
Oh, it's great though.
Right, yeah. I'll go that. But yeah, that was I have to share that.
That was glorious, and that's all bonus content that they added.
Yeah,
after
that's
the-
all bonus content. It's absolutely okay if people.
Freaking brilliant. That last part was so much fun because I don't want to spoil it, but it's kind of like an end credit sequence. And I kept hearing the theme for I Made a Game with Zombies in It playing over that sequence, which is one of my favorite indie titles of all time. And I did think it would fit really well over that final.
Well, actually, the doggone end credits theme is the Backwards Pumpkin song, which we mentioned back in the very, very beginning. Like a lot of stuff like we reference like in the very beginning gets brought up in the back end of the book once it finishes.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is exciting as hell. I can't wait to see this finished book. How far along is this preview? When do you estimate it should be ready for everyone to sink their teeth into?
So I was actually hoping it would be done by this month, but it's actually looking more like it's gonna get done by January-ish.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this is because I don't want to, we got COVID, so I really hate to say this as an excuse, but COVID has absolutely slowed down all of our printer and our shipping. So a lot of things are just so backed up at this point. I think Patreon will get this either like late January, early February, and then it probably won't ship until maybe like March-ish. I'm gonna try and rectify that if I can, but we've talked about this. Like printing and shipping has just been absolutely backlogged due to the pandemic and having to work around that. The printer that we've been using the entire year, like they're down to like 2 people working in the office, and that's kind of hurt us, but we're doing our best to make sure things get out in as fast as they can.
Yeah, I absolutely understand. We're facing a similar situation, obviously, because we're using the same printer. But for next year, Brett, Matt, and I shared these details with you, Brian. We have a possible backup plan that will eliminate this and save us a lot of money. So we're gonna do some test runs next year and see how that works out. But for right now, we're still fulfilling our current 2 campaigns there. So hopefully they won't be backed up too much longer. But I know they're working with you guys and everyone else, and like you said, they got 2 people in house. Period. So it is what it is. Everyone's feeling the pinch,
especially now too, holiday season too.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't mention that I really need to bring up. It's very important that people understand. Everybody watching this book This book does connect to the Rags main storyline, but not in the way you think. Probably not in the way you're prepared for. So just keep that in mind. It does have its own unique look and style. It will have its own story, but it will connect to our other work, and it'll be meaningful. It won't be stupid. I promise. It won't be Deus Ex Machina kind of horse shit.
Let me ask, if we can at least take this off the table as a possibility? It's not going to be like Rick and Morty where there's a whole council of Reginas or something.
Oh, Christ, no. Like, I think I've actually talked to you about this. I'm very dead set about there's only, in any multiverse out there, there's only like one Regina that actually lives.
Mm-hmm. Like, in other
words. Yeah, that's it.
That's it?
That's it. There's only one Regina that lives, like, period.
And it's not like the movie The One with Jet Li, whatever that was.
Yeah, like, absolutely not like that.
Okay.
There's no, like, multiple Reginas out there doing the exact same thing or slightly different. It's just there's only one reality with one Regina that absolutely.
There's always a man. There's always a lighthouse.
Nope.
Please don't.
Nope.
I had to go there.
No.
Don't.
You keep that blasphemy away from me, because that's like, okay. Let's talk about like creativity here, right? In a short sense, the difference between like me and a bunch of other like comic book writers and indie writers, everyone always writes the same stupid, boring fucking shit over and over and over and over, right? We're doing something different, and it may not look like it on the surface, but like Dan said initially, we write shit specifically just to troll people, to get like a joke out. There's no like I think what was one of the things that got asked, like, oh, the zombie plague is just a dream sequence. Like, no, fuck that shit. That's stupid. That's absolutely fucking stupid. Like, the zombie shit is actually happening. What's that?
My theory was that it was a CIA psyop gone wrong.
Nope, it's an actual fucking zombie plague. It is exactly what we stated it is, right? There's no curtain over the eyes. It's a clone bullshit. Like, none of that stupid Marvel DC crap. Like, what you're seeing is absolutely what you're getting. Oh, God, not abuse again.
Excuse me here, gents. I want to interject for one moment just to say,
I love you,
Brent, for reminding me that Bioshock Infinite exists. Go fuck yourself. Thank you. Good night.
Hey, I co-sign on that.
Live with the pain, bitch. Live with the pain, bitch. Eat it.
Oh man, too funny.
Yeah, but like we're trying to do something like absolutely original, absolutely different. We're combining. I'm actually combining a lot of writing I learned from Japanese storytelling, and I don't want to say putting a Western spin on it, but like I'm not trying to write a story that's gonna go on forever and ever and ever and ever. I'm trying to write a story that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? And the journey to that end should be interesting. It should be fun. There should be a lot of twists and turns. A lot of like, oh shit, I didn't realize that. But again, that's the type of writer I am. I require a lot of setup. Which, if anyone's really ever wondering why that crossover with Punchline and Black Ops didn't happen this year, is because Rags. Well, we had to finish issue 7. Obviously, like we had a lot to draw, and drawing takes time. But also, Regina is a character that requires very precision, sort of a setup. You can't just throw her willy nilly into like anything. Like, oh god, there's like somebody who's like, hey, Regina should meet up from some trash character from Evil Dead, something something. I don't remember like the full context, but it's like you guys like Regina's not like the character that's gonna meet up with some random fucktard rando and just immediately mesh. like like as we've seen throughout the book, like her track record like with linking up with other people hasn't been great. There's very, very few people that she actually clicks and synchronizes with.
But
So,
why wasn't
it's
she
a
nicer
character-
to Riley?
What's up?
Why
Oh,
wasn't
yeah,
she
like, why
nicer to
isn't
Riley?
Ripley? Why isn't she nicer to Ripley?
Yeah.
Like, okay, no, let's actually talk about that scene. Like, I really need to fucking pull that up because that's like one of the scenes like I got beat up on very, very early, and I don't believe everybody, or not everybody, I don't believe like people actually understood this from the standpoint that we were trying to tell it, right? Let's see, where does it start? Like page 3, page 2. Like we'll do page 2, right? I'm gonna share from like page 2, and if you don't mind, sir.
No, please do.
All right, let's talk about this. Bam. All right, from page 2, right? And I'm putting up the censored version so you guys don't get like demonetized. like
Now they'll just take our stream down, right, Dylan?
Right. So
I don't think we are.
So, like, the thing with like Ripley or Riley here, if you look at like the first top 3 pages, you know, she's there, she's butt ass naked, and the kid starts following her as she leaves. Right? She doesn't notice because, hey, I'm trying to cover myself up. I got my face bashed in. I'm bleeding all over the place. You know, I just wanna. I'm just leaving this room, right? Oh no, God, no, go back. Actually, yeah, let's go there, right? That's a good spot to fucking stay, right? So right here in this panel, she's like naked, bleeding, crying, and this kid is just touching her, right? I don't know about you guys, but if I was in the middle of crying, bleeding, you know, like
And naked.
like I wouldn't want like some random motherfucker touching me, right?
Dude, just throw your jacket at her and walk away. At least,
Right? Like it would have been different if he had gave her his jacket and went from there, but he absolutely didn't. And then all throughout like his interactions with her, he's just following her, and she's still naked, and he's just kind of like oogling and talking and whatnot. And I know like some people probably didn't see anything wrong with that, but there's absolutely 110% lots of things wrong with that. If you take Regina and make that your mom, make that your sister, make that your wife, your significant other, then you start seeing like, oh, instead of this guy being an actual decent dude, he's
being kind of a creep.
Yeah, he's being a little bit of a creep. So about the time I think issue 4 comes around, and we start seeing him getting a little bit more creepy, and this all culminates into issue 7 where he becomes an absolute fucking douche nozzle. The creepiness is there. Everything's just been set in place, and it wasn't there from the beginning. Like this guy's kind of being a little fucking creepy dick. And then also everybody else to her, as she finally broke into that back room, the only thing they really cared about was, oh, well, you should probably probably get this woman some clothes because we don't want to hurt the eyes of that child over there. So yeah, she might have turned out started acting out like a complete total bitch at the beginning. Not without a little bit of reason though, and we weren't really holding people's hands through that. But that was like one of the things that we got beaten up for, and it was just kind of funny to see people's like reactions to like this scene where like, hey, here you have this woman. She's obviously having like this breakdown, right? And she's having like these issues, and the only thing you do is just stalk her through the dang store until she snatches your jacket from you to finally cover her up. Like, come the fuck on, people.
Yeah. I mean, I got the vibe from him almost immediately, and I'm not surprised that there were a lot of people that seemed to perhaps see themselves in this character and say, why wasn't Regina nicer to this kid? It's like, well, did you read the comic? I mean,
right? Like we got that a lot. Like I probably even shouldn't say this, but like I've gotten a few messages, a few private messages. It wasn't just like one. There's like at least 10 or 15 that were like, I really don't like the way you guys treated Riley. I really think that he should have been Regina's companion, and they could have had like this wacky adventure sort of deal going on, and she could have ended up being like a mother figure to him. They could have ended up having this relationship, and blah 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 blah. It's like, and that's the exact reason why I didn't fucking do that, because that's so obvious and fucking stupid. I'm like the worst person. Like, honestly, I do appreciate that people are enthusiastic about the work and blah blah blah. But one of my biggest pet peeves is people giving me like unsolicited like story advice. More than likely, I will hate your fucking opinion or hate your idea and do the exact opposite of it, just because it's usually 9 times out of 10 it's usually something that someone else would traditionally do. Like, come the fuck on. Would you really want this kid as this woman's companion, and eventually they survive the apocalypse and hook up and have a kid and start a family? No, that's fucking creepy. That's fucking stupid, and it's fucking disrespectful to the character at a whole, right? And I could fucking rant about this for fucking days and just get angrier and angrier as I go on.
Right. Well, I think that's why Rags ended up being a strong book. Is because you had a very specific vision for the character and you executed on it. And I think you did a fantastic job. And like I said, I think you're going to continue on doing that into to Sailor Rogowski. So I, for one, am really excited to see it, and I hope everyone else is. And we're coming up on 2 hours now, so I'm going to have to...
Oh, shit.
I'm
absolutely sorry.
It's fine. No, I had a blast, and I had only planned for 1 hour, but everything just sort of panned out, and everything was interesting. I had a great time. So we're going to have to cut the stream short now because I have to go take care of the little ones. Because my toddler woke up just now and he's been poking me on the leg for the past 15 minutes.
Hey, just give him a little bit of whiskey. A little bit of whiskey, and they go right out.
That's adorable.
Yeah, I'm trying.
I learned that from Ghostbusters too.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I've just been. Luckily, he's been very good. He's been very quiet. He just wants my attention. So I'm gonna go take care of that. But for anyone who doesn't know, which is probably no one watching this right now, where can people hit you up on Patreon? How about your merch store? All this other stuff.
Right, so you can hit us on Patreon, patreon.com/NANCO, or you can hit us up on New Age Ninja Corps. I'll type that in the New Age Ninja CRPS.com. I threw that in the chat just without the .com part.
Okay.
You can hit us up there. Patreon, the Sailor Rogowski preview is completely 110% a Patreon only thing. So there's not going to be like an Indiegogo. There's not going to be a Kickstarter for it. It's a bonus thing for our Patreons for sticking with us. as far as we've, or as far as we, as God, we're sticking with us as long as they have, for one, and two, it was really like them who really pushed for this thing to happen. So I kind of want to just reward that group of people. So they absolutely are going to get this as a, you know, as a, guess 24-page book. I'll figure it out. But that's where it's going to be at. If you want to be a part of it, you can join at any tier above $1, and we will ship it to you and go from there. Our tiers are set up to actually cover shipping too. Long story short, when we initially set up, we didn't really account for shipping. Shipping's a female dog, if you will. In hindsight's 2020, so we're just trying to make sure we're not going into debt getting you guys this stuff.
All right, fantastic. Yeah, I put a link to your Patreon and to your particular Twitter account there. And what's cool about your Twitter account is if you go to his profile, he has a little Linktree link there. If you click that, you'll be able to get links to all the stuff we just talked about. So,
yep.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Brian. I can't wait to see this book.
Yes. One more thing.
Sure.
If you don't want, if you don't feel comfortable doing, like the Patreon subscription model, what we have kind of going on right now is we have like Sailor Rogowski. Where's it at? Let me pull this up real quick. We have these little Christmas ornaments going on. Maybe that might go into, yeah. All right. So I just posted the link in chat. So we have like Christmas ornaments. If you buy a Christmas ornament or buy some Sailor Rogowski gear from our shop, send a picture of you with that gear or whatever else. Once we get the book completed, we will absolutely send you. We'll pick a random person, but you may or may not get one. We'll send random shit out for free.
Fantastic.
I can't talk because I'm drunk.
You're talking better than most men do when they're drunk. So
yeah, I've gone through like 2 of these fucking balls of mead, man. It's fucking.
That's army strong right there.
My first exposure to the army as a kid was watching Stripes way too young. Oh my god, I lost my mind when that mud wrestling scene came up.
Oh my god!
I think I was 8 or 9.
That was the movie.
I remember the scene where Bill Murray is with. It was with one of the female officers, and he has a spatula.
Yes, she actually pries her ass off of the stovetop or something like that. Oh, that's too funny. All right, guys.
Oh man, I just remember I didn't get a chance to talk about the characters. Oh, god damn it. Oh well.
Well, come back again some other time. You're always welcome back here, and I'm happy to have you on for 2 full hours. And I would stay on right now, but I'm literally getting tugged at by my little one. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Brian, for making the time for us. It was a fascinating conversation. Looking forward to Sailor Rogowski, and not just because Adobe Kroger's in it, but because it's a cool story, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So thanks again, everyone, and good night.
Stay black, my friends.